Hello guys, and welcome to this video. In this one we're going to be looking at how we can tell CMake to use a different compiler than the default. In the last few videos we saw that there was a default compiler associated with the generator that we choose depending on the operating system where we are running CMake. For example, if we happen to be on Windows and we choose the Visual Studio generator, the default compiler was msvc, or the compiler from Microsoft. If we use Ninja on Windows, it is going to select the compiler from Microsoft as the default. If we use Makefiles, it is going to choose the G++ compiler as the default on Windows. On Linux, we had a situation like this. We don't have access to the Visual Studio generator, so this is crossed out. But if we choose Ninja, we're going to be given G++ as the default. If we choose MinGW Makefiles, we're going to be given the G++ compiler as the default. But please note that it is possible to change the compiler that is used by your generator. For example, on Windows, you might not want to use msvc and use clang. This is possible. On Windows, if you are using the Ninja generator, you have more options even. You can use the compiler from Microsoft, you can use clang, you can use G++. This is possible. If you use MinGW Makefiles on Windows, you have two options. You can use the G++ compiler. You can also use the clang compiler, but you are not forced to use this default if you don't want that. But before I show you that it is possible to select a different compiler from the generator you are using, I want you to see the documentation here from CMake. And what I want you to see is an option you can pass to let CMake tell you the configurations that it is using by default. And these configurations are going to include the compiler that it is going to be using by default on the operating system where you happen to be calling CMake. And the option happens to be system information here. If you pass this option to CMake, this is going to dump information about the system where you are running CMake. And this is going to include the compiler that is going to be chosen by default by CMake. If we open the project we did the last time in this series, and if you need the source code, you can come on this GitHub repository. You're going to find episode 5. This is what we did the last time, and this is the source code I will be using in this video here. Okay, so what we can do is ask CMake the default configurations it is using. And we can hop over in the location where we have our CMake list.txt file. We're going to run this command. So we're going to do CMake and say system information. If we do this, this is going to dump all this information on the terminal window here. And this is going to be bad because it's not going to be easily readable. I am going to wait for this to finish and show you another way we can do this. And you see that it is going to dump all this information here. And this is really bad. It's not readable. We don't want this. What we can do is pass a file where CMake is going to be writing all this information. And all you have to do is pass the name of the file. The file is going to be created by CMake if the file is not already available. So we're going to say info, and we're going to make it a txt file. Once we do this, CMake is going to do its thing, and it is going to write this information in the location where this project is located. So I can, for example, choose one file. Let's choose the main CPP file. I am going to right click and say reveal in Explorer. I am going to be taken where this file is on my file system, and I can open this file and see the default configurations that CMake is using on my system here. And if we go down, we're going to see that it is using a CMake CXX compiler. This is the default C++ compiler that CMake is using on my system here. And I am on a Windows system, so this is going to choose the compiler from Microsoft, which is cl.exe here. You can see the full path to this compiler on my system. If we happen to be using the C language, it is going to choose the same compiler to do C compilation. And you can see all the other defaults that CMake is going to choose. We're not going to look at this anymore. What we really are interested in is the compiler that CMake is going to be using by default on our system here. So what we want is to be able to change the default compiler that CMake is using. For example, if we are building with Ninja on Windows, we might want to be using the G++ compiler, and this is the syntax we use to do that. We pass the D flag and then we say CMake-CXX compiler. We put an equal sign and we specify the compiler we want to be used to do our compilation. In this case, we pass G++ and then we specify the path to our location for the CMake-list.txt file. And if the compiler is available, CMake is going to choose it and it is going to use it and it is going to work just fine. If the compiler is not available for any reason, CMake is going to revert back to the default compiler and you are going to see it used. So this is what I want you to see here. So what we are going to be doing in this lecture is do all these things. We are going to go on Windows and use different compilers in all these generators that I have on my system. On Windows, we are going to use the Visual Studio generator and we're going to use the msvc compiler. We are also going to use the clang compiler. We are going to use the Ninja generator and use all these compilers, msvc, clang, and G++. We're going to use mingw Makefiles and we're going to use the G++ compiler and the clang compiler. Note that for Visual Studio, we're going to be using a different flag to make this work. What we are going to do is what we have here. We are going to specify the Visual Studio generator, but we are going to use the T flag to choose a platform tool of the clang compiler, and this is going to allow us to choose the clang compiler. Please note that this T flag doesn't work on all generators. It works for generators that have the capability to choose different platform tools. And if you want more information on this, you can go back to the CMake documentation and learn about this T flag here. You can find all the information you need. So we are also going to go to a Linux system and we are going to use the Ninja generator with G++ and clang. We're going to use mingw Makefiles with G++ and clang. Please note that I am not going to show you how you install a clang compiler on your system, either on Windows or Linux. I am going to share a link in the video description below where you can learn all that. For now, I am just going to suppose that you have the clang compiler installed or any of the other compilers that we are going to use here, be it the msvc compiler, the G++ compiler, or the clang compiler. Okay, so enough talk. Let's do some work here. We're going to clear here and see what we have in our source folder here, and we're going to remove our info file because we don't need this anymore. We're going to clear. We're going to cd into our build directory. We're going to see a project we have in there. This is a mingw Makefiles project we had before. We're going to remove it. We're going to say remove recursively and remove everything. And we're going to use the compiler from Microsoft to build our project here. All we have to do is CMake and pass the location of our CMake-list.txt file. If we hit enter, CMake is going to choose the Visual Studio compiler and it is going to generate a Visual Studio project. If we do ls, we're going to see that we have this project here and we can build it by saying CMake build and specify this location. This is going to build this project. And we are going to have a binary generated in the debug folder as you see here. So if we do debug and say hello app binary, we're going to see our program run. And this is what we expect here. So we have built with the Visual Studio generator using the compiler from Microsoft. If we do CMake help, we're going to see all the generators that we support. We're going to be using this Visual Studio generator, but we want to use the clang compiler. So we're going to copy this generator and we're going to clear and remove everything we have in our project because we're going to be generating a new project using the clang compiler. We're going to say CMake and we're going to specify our generator to be the Visual Studio generator. And we are going to pass the T flag. And we're going to say clang, CL in capital, and then we're going to specify the path to our source files or the path to our CMake-list.txt file. Note that to find this flag that you pass for T, it is really tedious. This is not very documented, and I had to do a lot of trial and error. And by luck, I stumbled on this Stack Overflow entry that gave me the flag that I could use. So this is not very documented, and Microsoft isn't really good in this regard. They should make this really easy. It is not worth the effort to spend an hour looking for this flag. So Microsoft, I am talking to you here. But we know this flag now. We can use it in our program here. If we use this command, we're going to choose the Clang compiler that was installed as part of our Visual Studio IDE. If we hit enter, we're going to see that the Visual Studio generator is going to choose the Clang compiler. Let's wait for it to figure this out. You see that it has chosen my Clang 11 installation, and it is going to generate a project in this location here. If I do ls, I am going to find a Visual Studio project. If I want, I could open this in Visual Studio, and it is going to be using the Clang compiler, but we can build this right here by using the CMake build and say the current location, and this is going to build this program using the Clang compiler on Windows. And we're going to have our binary generated. We can run it. We can say debug and say hello. And this is going to run as we expect. And this is really cool. Now, we have used the Visual Studio generator with two kinds of compilers, msvc and Clang. We're going to move on and use a Ninja generator on Windows. We're going to remove what we have in here. So we're going to remove R and remove everything. And we're going to specify that we want to use the Ninja generator here. We're going to say CMake and say G and say Ninja. We can say this. And we're going to pass a D flag and say CMake CXX compiler. And let's see if we can do equals CL, because this is the default compiler on Windows. We're going to specify the path to our CMake list.txt file. And let's see what this does. This is supposed to choose the Visual Studio compiler with our Ninja build system, and it is going to choose our compiler here. This is done. You see that we see the full path to our compiler here, and if we want, we can build this project by saying CMake build and specify the current location. This is going to build our project here, and we're going to have our binary generated, and we can run it. We can say hello, and this is going to run our program. Now, this is working with our Ninja generator using the compiler from Microsoft, but we can clear and remove everything and use the G++ compiler. Let's go up and choose G++. You're going to see that this is going to choose the G++ compiler now. You can do this. If we run, this is going to choose our G++ compiler. My version happens to be 10.20. A project was generated, and this is a Ninja project. If we do ls, we're going to find that here, and we can build it. Let's say CMake and say build and specify the current location. Let's say double dashes here. So let's say CMake -- build and specify the current location. This is going to build our binary, and we can run it, and it is going to do what we want. We can also use the Clang compiler. So let's go up and do that. We're going to remove everything we have here. Recursively, we're going to clear, and we're going to bring up our command, and we're going to choose Clang++. This is how you can call the Clang compiler. So we're going to say Clang++. And if we run, this is going to choose our Clang compiler, hopefully. And you see it is chosen with the Ninja build system. We're going to generate a project, and we can build it. We're going to say CMake build. Let's bring this up because I don't really want to type this. I am going to choose this. This is going to build our project using the Clang compiler. And we're going to have a binary generated. We can run it. We can say hello. And this is going to bring up our output that we expect from our program here. So we have used both the Visual Studio generator and the Ninja generator and all the compilers that we support. If you want, you can also see the full path to the compilers that I am using here. CMake is going to show this, and this is really cool. Now we're going to move on and use the MinGW Makefiles generator, and we're going to use that both with the G++ compiler and the Clang compiler. We're going to remove everything we have in this folder. We're going to clear and we're going to bring up our command to call CMake. And we're going to specify our generator as MinGW Makefiles. We can do that. And because we have a space in, we're going to put this in quotes. And we're going to say MinGW Makefiles. Let's do that. And we want to use the Clang compiler. If we run this, this is going to choose the Clang compiler with our MinGW Makefiles generator. If we do ls, we're going to see that this is a Makefiles project on Windows, and we can build this using the Clang compiler. We're going to say CMake build. Let's bring this up. I think that's going to be faster. We're going to build, and this is going to generate our binary. We can run it, and this is going to run. We can remove everything we have here. And we're going to clear and bring up our command on top. And now we're going to use the G++ compiler. So let's do that. On Windows, we can use this compiler. And if we run, you're going to see that it is going to be chosen. If we build and run again, we're going to see that we're going to generate our binary. We're going to run it. And it is going to say what we expect. So we could really build with all the compilers we have on our Windows system here using all kinds of crazy generators. We use the Visual Studio generator, we use the Ninja generator, we use the MinGW Makefiles generator, and you saw that it was really flexible in choosing the compiler that your generator supports. Now, please note that to use a compiler, your generator must support it. For example, you saw that the Visual Studio generator couldn't support the G++ compiler. That has mainly to do with the design goals of these generators. We also saw that the MinGW Makefiles generator, for example, can't use the Visual Studio compiler. So you have to make sure that the compiler you are trying to use really works with the generator that you want to use. They have to match. Okay, now that this is working, we're going to bring up our Linux system. We're going to open a window to it. Okay, so here we are. We're going to cd into our home directory. We're going to cd into CMake series. And we're going to find the current episode, which was episode 5. We're going to do 005. We're going to cd into that. If we do ls, let's cd into EP 005 correctly. I'm going to clear and ls. We're going to find our source folder. We can cd into our build folder. And we're going to see our Ninja files. Last time we used the Ninja generator, but we're going to remove everything here. And start from scratch. So we're going to run CMake and do help. And see all the generators that we support here. We have Unix Makefiles, we have Ninja, we have all kinds of crazy generators here. But we're going to be using Unix Makefiles and Ninja in this video here. So we're going to use Unix Makefiles. We're going to grab this, and we're going to say CMake, and we're going to specify our generator. We're going to put this in quotes here. And we're going to pass the D flag, meaning that we can pass our own configuration. So we're going to say CMake and say CXX compiler. We can do that. And we're going to say that we want clang++. We're going to say clang++ 11. I think this is the compiler. And then we're going to specify the path to our CMake list.txt file. If we do enter, we should see our compiler chosen. We're going to see the full path to my compiler if you are interested in this. And if we do ls, we're going to see that we have a Makefile project generated, and we can build it by saying CMake build and passing our current directory. This is going to build our thing, and we should have a hello app binary in a minute. Let's wait for it. We're going to run it here. We should say hello. Let's say hello here, and this is going to run and do what we expect. We can remove everything we have in this folder, and we're going to generate a project again, but this time we're going to be using another compiler. We're going to be using G++. We're going to go back and specify G++. We can do that. We're going to say G++ here. And if we generate our project, we're going to see that now the GNU compiler or the GCC compiler is going to be chosen. This is the location for the compiler, and we have a Makefiles project, which is going to be using this compiler under the hood. We can build, let's bring up the command to build our project. We can use this here, and it is going to generate our project using the selected compiler. We can run this program by saying hello. And this is going to work. This is really cool. Now that we have used the Unix Makefiles generator, we're going to remove everything we have and use a Ninja generator because we have Ninja installed on this system here. So let's remove everything, and we're going to bring up our generation command. We're going to be using Ninja this time. We can specify it in quotes if we want. We're going to say Ninja, and we're going to be using the G++ compiler by default. We can generate a project. You see that the GNU compiler was chosen, and we have generated a Ninja project. We can build this. Let's do the build command. We say CMake build and specify the current directory. We're going to build our binary, and we can run it. So this is going to work, and we can remove everything we have here and generate a new project. And we're going to be using the Clang compiler. We can do this with the Ninja generator. Let's go back and say Clang ++11. I think this is the name for the compiler. If we run, you're going to see that the Clang compiler is going to be chosen. And we can build our project by using the command here, CMake build, and specify the current directory. This is going to generate our binary, and we can run it. And this is going to work as we expect. So this is really all I had to share in this video. I hope you found it interesting. The main goal was to share with you how you can instruct CMake to use your chosen compiler if you happen to have multiple compilers installed on your system, and this may come in handy sometime. In my case on Windows, I have a lot of compilers installed because I do a lot of C++ these days. For example, I have the msvc compiler, I have the clang compiler, I have the G++ compiler, and I use all these compilers because sometimes I really need to use modern features, and some of these compilers support features that other compilers don't support. So I am jumping around among compilers very often these days. So I have all these, and I really like to fine-tune which compiler that CMake is going to use for my project. If you have any thoughts or feedback, please share in the comments below. I would really like to know what you think about these videos. For now, this is really all I had to share, and I will see you next time.